The Aron, known as the Ark in English, was the holiest object in the Holy Temple. It was the golden box that had the two kruvim hanging over it, and inside was the two tablets, the luches, that Moshe brought down from the mountain, as well as a few other things, and that was where God's presence came down, and that's where heaven kissed earth. Hashem spoke to Moshe through the space between the two cherubs. This was in the room of the Holy of Holies, and no one was allowed into that room except for the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, on Yom Kippur. Now there's a beautiful lesson, and a very deep lesson that we could learn from this box called the Aron. Now we know it as all the pictures online, as or in the books, as a golden box, but really it was a golden box. Inside the golden box was actually the Aron, which was a wooden box, a box of atzei shittim, or acacia wood, and inside that box was another golden box. So it was really what looked like one box from the outside of gold was really three boxes. Gold, then in the middle was wood, and then gold on the inside of that. And there's a beautiful, powerful lesson that we can learn from this. Because just like there's three layers of Aron, gold, wood, and gold, there's also three layers of ourselves. When you look around at people, you see a lot of people doing a lot of good things, hopefully and usually. Most people are good people, or decent people. And that's the gold that you see on the outside, which is their speech, what people say. Most people say good moral things and how they want justice and peace in the world. Most people even do good things and are nice people. Behind that, if you're a discerning eye or a cynic or an intellectual, you could sometimes see that there might be more motives than just the niceness that they give off. Look into perhaps consciously or subconsciously. But behind the gold, sometimes you see a layer of wood, something that just looks very plain and unimpressive. And when you see life through those lenses, sometimes you're very disenchanted and judgmental, and we start seeing people that people aren't as good as they give off, right? Or someone could even look at themselves. I try being charitable, I try studying, I try doing a lot of good things, I try becoming a better Jew, but inside I know that I'm just looking for my own ego. I'm looking to be a successful person. Even my spirituality is just because I feel a void otherwise, so I'm just looking to fill my void. So everything just boils back to my ego. And if you start going down that rabbit hole, and if you start, or seemingly this is a form of honestly thinking, then you could become despondent, you could become depressed, and realize that all my altruism, all my niceness is just min hasafa v'lachutz, is just external. Yes, outside it looks like a box of gold, but behind that is a box of wood. Until you're humble and willing enough to look deeper than that. And then you could see that behind the wood, there's another box of gold, and that's the core of our soul. And the core of the Jewish soul is good, and is not looking for self-preservation, but is looking for transcendence, and is looking for oneness with God. We all have a nefesh bahamis and a nefesh elikis. We have an animal soul and a godly soul. And yes, perhaps behind our actions, there's a voice of an animal soul telling us, give the charity, but make sure someone sees you. Learn something, but only what you enjoy, and make sure you don't push past your comfort zone. Or make sure you're doing this so that you elevate in stature and people start respecting you more. So even your holy learning is really just there to feed your ego. However, behind that voice, behind the voice of the Nefesh Bahamis, the ultimate voice of a Jew and the ultimate essence of a Jew is oneness with God. A Jew is someone who's willing to give his life up for Hashem and his connection to Hashem. And historically, when Jews were faced with a gun and said it's either God or the bullet, Jews, even secular Jews, who don't find, their ego doesn't find any calling or any belonging in Judaism, but their soul does. And when it came to a moment of truth, the soul, the godly soul, trumps the animal soul. So yes, it's true through one pair of lenses. Behind the gold, you see wood. But the trick is to realize that behind the wood, you see gold, and not to get stuck in the middle. There's someone that one time wrote to the Rebbe about this, and he wrote that you have a lot of people that say good things and they mean well, but when you look past them, you see most people are just in it for themselves, and they don't really care about what they're saying. And the Rebbe gave him a mashal. The Rebbe said, when you look at the world around you, you could find a beautiful city, built up, nice, glamorous, and then you start digging, and you just see under it is just a bunch of dirt and earth and nothing too impressive. But that's if you stop digging. It all depends on how deep you dig. Dig past that earth. Dig past the ugliness. What you're going to find is avanim tovim or margalias. You're going to find special diamonds and pearls. And if you're willing to dig that deep, you're going to see that really every Jew at their core is a chelek alikam imal mamish, is oneness with God, and that's the tune that they beat to. And the Nefesh Bahamis is just a shell for us to be human, that the part of ourselves that doesn't feel that connection to Hashem is now grappling to find other quick fixes. But the voice of the Nefesh Bahamis is only because I don't always fully feel aligned with my Nefesh Elikis. So yes, there's wood over there. But the wood, I'm only feeling that wood because I'm not in tune with my inner gold. And we have to realize, be able to view ourselves this way, to not just stop and see past box number 1, but to see past box number 2. Yes, the outside is gold, and perhaps behind that is wood. And I should be conscious about that and try to work to be more altruistic, more humble, and do things more for the right reasons. However, I can't get stuck over there, and I have to realize behind my animal soul there is a godly soul, and my core is good. And to be able to not only see myself that way, but to see life around me that way, and to see other people like that as well. Perhaps the more I get to know people, I'm going to start seeing that there's some dirt behind them. But then the more I get to know them, I'm going to start seeing that behind the dirt, there's Avanim Tevim Margalias. It goes one step deeper than this. How do we access that inner soul? There's one inner golden box, but how do we live with that inner golden box? And the answer is found in the lesson of the Aron as well. The inner golden box is connected to the outer golden box. They're not so separate. In other words, the only way to access the innermost part of our soul is by practicing and acting that way. And unlike what perhaps secular culture makes us believe, that you access your innermost soul through alignment, through mindfulness, these are all important and all good things, meditation. The essence of one's soul, things that are deep and real, come out through practicing them. And when you live out your soul practically with machshava dibur ma'aseh, with positive thoughts, positive speech, and positive actions, or living your godly soul with godly thoughts, godly speech, and godly actions, that's how you manifest and express the essence of your soul. This isn't just in soul work. This is true with anything that's real and deep. You can never align yourself to become a parent. You have to practice becoming a parent, and then you become a good parent. You can never practice and through mindfulness realize how to be a good spouse. When you commit to a marriage and practice marriage, you will eventually become a good spouse. Mindfulness could be part of that, but it's not learned through mindfulness. Just like swimming is learned through jumping in the water, marriage is learned through getting married, parenting is learned through becoming a parent. So too, Judaism, our Jewish soul, is learned by practicing Judaism. And counterintuitively, even though it seems like our actions are just shallow, how much do they say about us already? I'm just doing something, I'm just saying something, I'm just studying something. It's one-off, it's not my deep consciousness. Yes, the gold in the inside and the gold on the outside are interconnected even more than the wood in the middle. So how do I access my innermost self as a Jew? By practicing to be a Jew. Just like that's how I access my innermost parent, just like that's how I access my innermost spouse, just like that's how leadership, kingship, being a leader can't be studied either. You have to practice being a leader, lean into it practically, and then it starts coming out and becoming natural. So too, the essence of a Jewish soul comes out by simply practicing it. It seems so simple, but as the saying goes, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Our inner gold comes out together with our outer gold, and the more we do good things, and the more we study good things, and the more we say good things, and the more we align ourselves with Torah and mitzvahs, then the more our true selves, the more comfortable we are with ourselves, the more we feel our godly self-esteem and our godly souls in our day-to-day life. Have a great Shabbos.